Welcome back, everybody, to our monthly seminar here at the Omni Hypnosis Center. It's exciting to see you folks here tonight on a rainy, kind of a miserable, drab June, I think it's 27th, 1990, here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's an interesting seminar we're going to have tonight, because tonight we're going to take and give you skills that will help you create a profitable business. You know, how this all developed, and very briefly, was about 15 months ago. One of the students of our regular hypnosis classes, Jerry, after we leave class, and your class is an excellent class, it's all of a sudden we're out there and we really wonder to ourselves, how do we do a particular thing? And we're a little nervous and frightened. Is there something you could do every month that could help us? And here we decided that what we could do was put on how-to seminars every month at a very nominal price for the hypnotists, especially my students, to come here to learn how to do a particular thing. We videotape it as we're videotaping this one and make it available. That way you can select, or anybody can select those they feel would enhance them. And you know, it's been wonderful. We try to do one every month. And we're the only school in the country that does this. And we're extremely proud of the work that we do. And we've accumulated already, and we have them up here, probably 12 or 13 different titles. From painless childbirth, instant inductions, teaching self-hypnosis, smoking, weight loss, stress management, alcoholism, pain control, test anxiety, on and on. And that's wonderful. That's excellent, and it gives you the tools you need. But tonight's program is the most important of all, because without tonight, they're all meaningless. They're all meaningless. If people are not walking in your office, what good is it if you are the most fantastic hypnotist in town? What good is it if you say, by God, when somebody comes to me, they stop smoking, period, and that's the end of it? What good is it if they don't come in your office? Well, the answer to that, it's no good. Before this seminar started, we were briefly talking, for those of you who weren't here, about how just a few days ago I called all the hypnotists in the Yellow Pages. And it was the most enlightening experience, because over half of them were no longer in business. By the time they put their ad in last October until now, well, like the ads came out, the new books came out, I think, March, they couldn't survive. They went belly up. So those ads, no matter how wonderful they are, the people couldn't survive to reap the harvest that those ads could have brought them. And there's a lot of other ads in the Yellow Pages that are non-productive, and when we get into that, we're going to show you how to make yours productive. How many of you last year have made $1,000 in your hypnosis practice? Raise your hands if you have. How many of you made at least $5,000? How many of you have made $25,000? How many of you made $100,000 in hypnosis last year? Why not? Why not? Other than you weren't one last year. It's absolutely astonishing. Our business has more potential and more various ways to make a good income, and we got a right to make an income, than any other profession I'm aware of. We're unlimited in what we can do. But so many of us drop out because of our own fears. Or because we're lousy business people. Nobody ever told us how to market our business. That's what happened to me. Only I hung in. I fought and scraped, and I'm going to give you the fruits of my mistakes tonight. Because it's cost me well over probably $70,000 of money thrown down the tubes to learn the good techniques that I'm going to share with you tonight. You can accept that or reject that. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to save you a lot of money if you do what I tell you to do tonight. I've made notes in my office today. I'm going to be looking down at my notes because I just sat back and said, what have I done over the years that have been really good and that have worked for me? Even some things that I don't do anymore because I don't have to do them anymore. I'm going to share them with you. It does not take a lot of money out of your pocket to generate a tremendous hypnosis practice. We're going to show you how to do it without spending a lot of money. Now look, if you're going into business, let's not kid ourselves. It's going to take a few bucks. You're going to have a few dollars, but not a great amount of money. Now you can spend a lot of money if you want to. We can show you ways to do that, but you don't have to. Most people who make really good money in what they do hate what they do. Most people who love their work don't make very much money. They get involved in what we call rebel professions. Out of the mainstream. They love being an astrologer. I know a lot of astrologers, but I don't know any of them that are worth a few million, you say. But they love their work and it's exciting. On the other hand, I know a lot of stockbrokers who hate their work but are making tremendous amounts of money. The beauty of this profession is we can really love our work and make a bundle of bucks. And that's why we're here tonight. And if you don't love your work, if you don't love hypnosis, you got to get out of it. Don't even start it. Because empathy, your feeling and caring about other people is what makes you a good therapist. And to make money in this business, when you separate everything else, you have to be good at what you do. You have to be successful. Okay. This one thing came that was kind of comical. When we first started a number of years ago in one of our new offices, we didn't have a lot of money. It's going back quite a few years. And I tell this story, and other people have gotten the fruits of this and have done it too. What happened, I said, how can I go ahead and do some advertising? I don't have any money to advertise. Well, you know, if you're a good person and got a song in your heart and you want to do the right thing, stuff happens. In walks this fella from an office supply store. And guess what he's selling? Photocopy machines. Now, back then, the photocopy machine for a little one that I paid maybe $1,800, $1,900 for now was probably $4,000 or $5,000. And I said, I can't afford your copy machine. I'd love to have a copy machine. Well, you know how salesmen work. Let me leave it here. They figure if you play with it for a while, you're going to find a way. Let me leave it here for a couple of days. Use it. See how it works for you. I'll even leave you a ream of paper to play with. I said, I'm not going to buy the machine. He says, play with it. I says, okay. So as soon as he left, I quickly designed me a flyer. I can't even remember what the flyer was anymore. But I designed it freehand, and it looked pretty good. And I proceeded to photocopy 7,000 of them. He asked me to play with his machine, you see. Had to go buy more paper. Then he came back in a couple of days, and I said, it works beautiful, and I can't afford it. And he goes, well, then he's looking at it, you know, and they have a counter on it. And he says, you did 7,000 copies of it. I said, I know. I was testing it out. And, of course, he left scratching his head, and that was the end of him. Now I had 7,000 flyers. Didn't cost me, well, it cost a few dollars for a couple extra reams of paper, but minimum. Now, what am I going to do with flyers? Let me tell you, a lot of people make mistakes with flyers. They'll either get them printed up or do them themselves, and what do with them? They walk around and they put them on car windows. Well, in some cities that's illegal. Direct mail, when we get into it, you'll see you get a 1 or 2%. If you get 2% return, you should die laughing because you're the luckiest person in the world. Flyers on windshields bring 0% return. It is the ultimate waste of time, money, and flyers. And I knew that because I had made that mistake a few times. I said, where am I going to do this? Now, I am not telling you to do this. I want this to be noted on the television set. But let me tell you something. If you're going to make money in this business, you're going to have to get radical as far as promoting yourself. You're going to have to do things a little bit differently. So I took those flyers, and for several Sundays, I drove around first, and I found all the newspaper machines that were in hot spots. You know, you put the quarter in, you get the paper, except on Sunday. I don't know, it might have been a quarter back then. I don't know what it was back then. Anyway, I got up bright and early in the morning on Sundays mornings, and I had a route of about 15 of these boxes. And I put my quarter, or whatever it was, in there, opened it up, and I stuffed my flyer in each one of those newspapers. And I went to the next box and the next box and the next box. Now, I'm not telling you to do that, because probably I broke the law back then. I went in a 7-Eleven store, and I said to the person, do you mind if I stick a flyer in the newspapers? They don't care. Go ahead. I stuck that flyer in newspapers for weeks, and I got to tell you, I figured it up later. Out of all the flyers I put in, you say direct mail is 1 or 2%? I got a 6% return. That was hot. Would it still work? Well, I don't do that anymore. Haven't done it for a while. And I'm not telling you to do it. You better believe it. Sure. Those newspapers, that's it. Now you're getting the idea. You get creative. Sure, give the guys on the corner $10. Tell them to stuff the newspapers with them. And they'll sell the bejesus out of those things. $5, not $10. Don't get crazy, Sharon. Okay. Now, after a year, when you're in business for a year, here's how you're going to decide whether you're really successful or not. Not only from a dollars and cents point of view, but 90% of your business after 1 year had better be from referrals, from people who you have worked with before. If it's not, you're not going to make it, because you're not doing the job. Now that brings another story up, which is kind of comical. A number of years ago, I taught this fellow, took my basic advanced course. He even came in for individual consultation. And I told him referrals is the name of the game. And 90% of your business would come from referrals. Well, what he did is he had a job, so he didn't quit his job. He ordered his Yellow Page ad in October. He kept his job until March or April when the books came out. Now, when the books came out, he quit his job. He quit his job. He had rented a beautiful suite of offices, bought the most wonderful furniture in town, and he moved in April. Now, what happened was simply this. He called me up the following October. And he said, Jerry, I'm not doing very good business. I said, what's the problem, Fred? He goes, well, I don't know. Could you come up to my office? Maybe it's my office. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. So I went up to his office, and it was gorgeous. I mean, he put a lot of money in his office. I said, how are you advertising? He says, well, you know, other than my Yellow Page ad, I'm doing no advertising. I said, I don't understand that. He says, well, you told me that 90% of my business would come from referrals. I figured I'd give up the other 10% and just sit here and wait for the referrals to come in. And obviously that wasn't going to happen, you see. So we had to work with him a little bit. What is your most important promotional device? Do you want to change seats? You all right? Okay. What is your most important promotional advertising device of anything else? Does anybody know what it is? Also the most economical? Your business card. Absolutely. How many of you bought business cards? How many of you bought more than 500? How many of you bought that one box that has like 1,000 of them in it? Mm-hmm. How many of you still have some in the box? Mm-hmm. You'll fail. You'll fail. Business cards do you no good in the box. Period. If you have been in business, you went into the business and you're in business for 3 months, you should have gone through a minimum of 3 of those boxes of business cards. In other words, you should be distributing 1,000 business cards a month. That doesn't mean you have to hand them to everybody, although that would be nice. But you better be distributing them. It's comical the way I distribute them. I don't care. I'm totally indiscriminate with how I distribute them. My wife will take me out to a cocktail hour. I'll give her a stack. She dumps them in the ladies' room. I'll dump them in the men's room on the countertop, if it's a nice place. You know, if it's a blood and bucket place, save your dime, you know. If you go into an office building on business for any reason, put them in the men's and ladies' room. If business gets slow, there's a tall office building, one of these big modern glass ones up on the corner here. I said, I got to go turn the business on. I'll see you in a couple hours. I go up there with a box of 1,000 of them, and I come out of that office building empty. I will take, the other thing you must have is a brochure. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can even use it as a flyer can be used as a brochure. And what you do is you take one big office building. This is the way you start. And you walk into every office. You're not there to talk to anybody. You staple your business card to your flyer or brochure, and you just walk in and hand it to them. Hi, if I can ever help you. You hand it to the receptionist. If I can ever help you, let me know. Out. You're not there to sell unless they grab you by the neck to answer you a question. Then answer it and leave. Then on each floor, they have what? A men's and a ladies' room. You dump in about 20 of them in each one. Be indiscriminate with your business cards. Believe me, someday I'd like to rent an airplane and just dump thousands of them out of the airplane all over the city. Except I'd be arrested for littering. But I'd do it if it was legal. That's the power of a business card. Now, let me give you a tip on business cards. You should have throwaway business cards. Those are the ones that everybody buys. Those are throwaway business cards. That people throw away too. You see, and you know, sometimes people, if they're out someplace and somebody, and let's say you're out someplace, and you meet somebody and you want to write down some information. What do? You reach in your wallet, let me find something to write on, and you find somebody's card, you flip it over, you write the information on it. And that card is going to go down the tubes later on when you transfer that information to some permanent record. It's thrown out. It's gone. So you really want to get neat. When you start making some money, you go out and you buy a plastic business card that's transparent. You've seen those. I'm temporarily out of stock on mine, but I'm getting more. A nice blue with a gold letter or something like that. That's a nice professional-looking card. Now, if they got to find something to write on, I guarantee they're not going to be able to write on that one. And it's going to stay in the wallet. It's not getting thrown away. This is the card you give to your clients when they leave. Yeah, Glenn's got one back there. He's already on the ball with it. You can turn around and see he's got a red one with gold on it, I believe. Excellent. That's the way to do it. People don't throw it away.
Some also have your map format with your picture on it too.
Anyway, you got to make it so it's not thrown away. That's important. Now also, let's get reasonable about where you're going to be. You got to do a little market research if you're going to be really good in business. So you can struggle in other areas, but you do want to be aware of your competition. All things being equal, it is a little easier if you're not in a nest of hypnotists. Move away a little bit. Couple of blocks, couple of miles. It helps. People don't like to travel far. It might be nice to be in an area that people can afford your practice, can afford hypnosis. In other words, if you open your practice based on the rent in your area, I had a guy come up to me one day and says, Jerry, what are you paying for your offices? Well, back then, I guess I didn't have a lot of money every month going in office space, maybe $700, $800 a month. So I said $700 or $800. He laughed at me. He says, ha. He says, I got more space than you do, and I'm paying $400 a month. And I was amazed. I said, that's great. Yeah, here's my card. Come on over. And I looked at his card, and it was in the middle of the highest crime area in the city. He was paying too much rent. How many people would go into that? 75% of our per business is from women. Women aren't going to go in the dangerous areas. Evening appointments, you better be in an area that's safe, where the parking lot is well lighted. You don't chintz on your office space. You don't go crazy either. But it's got to be in an area where people are safe to go in, and also it would help if the people in the general area have money to spend, disposable income. You really don't want to be, you want to always be in the middle. You don't want to be in a really rich area, and you don't want to be in a poor area. You want to shoot for right in the middle of that. You can draw from the middle class, you can draw from the elite. If you're in a rich area, a lot of the people who aren't very rich will think you're too expensive, so they won't even call you. Now, your pricing also must be compatible to what's going on around you. Again, you should not be the highest, and you should not be the lowest. You should be right in the middle. In this area, the price range is anywhere from $50 to $150. So I picked something in the middle. I'm right around, I'm $100 for a session. Some people do it by hour. It doesn't matter. As long as you're about in the middle. Don't go off on either end, and you'll do very well. A friend of mine tells a story, and I latched onto it because it's a comical story when you talk about pricing. When people say, for what you did, how can you charge? You just talk to me for a few minutes. Yeah, my problem's over, but how can you charge what you do? And I tell him the story that a good friend of mine told me once. He says, you know, it's the old story about the ship captain. Guy comes in with a broken freighter. And he calls up, and there was something wrong with the engine, and he called up the mechanic, and he said, you got to fix this. If a freighter's in port, it's thousands and thousands of dollars every day of downtime. So the mechanic walks in, goes down to the engine, finds a little red valve, puts a wrench on it, turns it, and everything works, and he's out of there. The guy's thrilled. He says, that's wonderful. Send me a bill. Send him a bill for $100. And the guy went insane. He says, how can you charge me $100 to put a wrench on one nut and turn it a quarter of a turn? That's ridiculous. Send me an itemized bill. So he did. Guy got the itemized bill. It said in there, for turning wrench on the nut, $1. For knowing where to turn that nut, $999. You see, that's how you justify what you do. We all know hypnosis can be very rapid compared to other modalities of therapy, and people compare us against that, and that's an unfair comparison because we do it different, better, quicker, and more permanent. Okay. Services offered. Now this is important. Here's where a lot of people make mistakes. 75% of your business, whether you like it or not, will be in smoking or weight loss. So that means get good at it. Because obviously most of your referrals will be in the area of smoking and weight loss. You know yourself. When you go out on the town and people say, what do you do for a living? You say you're a hypnotist. What's the next thing they say to you? Oh, can you help me stop smoking? Do you do smoking? Do you do weight loss? That's what the majority of the general population thinks we do for a living. We hang around doing smoking and weight loss all day long. So get good at it. It's true. That's where the money is. You've got to forget about, no matter what, from an advertising point of view, UFOs, past life regression. A minority of the people are interested in this. You're in business. You're not here. I mean, hopefully you want to be in business. Hopefully you want to make money. You can do that stuff. If you're going to advertise it, you advertise it only in those areas that apply to the people that are interested in that. You advertise it in metaphysical magazines, fine, no problem. But I promise you, if you put an ad out to the general population that says, I do smoking, weight loss, past life regressions, astro travel, your phone will never ring. Period. Never ring. You advertise to, in quote, the straight world. You advertise to the people out there who run the corporations, and they are not interested in these other philosophies. And you'll burn yourself beautifully if you advertise it. Sure, selectively, like we said, but not to the general public. They'll think you're a quack by even advertising it. They're not going to take you serious that you can do weight loss and smoking. They'll say you're a way out person. And you're slitting your own throat. If you're going into business, you go into business. You do those things. Sure, we help people, but we're going to do those things that are also important to make us money. Advertising. There is a theory that's so true. In our world, we say 10% of our advertising dollar works. If we could only figure out what that 10% was, we'd be rich. Well, here's a good way to do it. Use other people's expenses and knowledge. Use the mistakes of other people. For example, watch the other hypnotists. Watch their advertising. Look for their advertising. If their ad is in the newspaper or the TV guide or wherever it may be, week after week after week after week, one of two things you can be certain of about those people. First, they're absolute idiots flushing their money down the drain, and that's not it. Or number two, that advertising is working. So what do? You put it in the same place, you duplicate the ad for all practical purposes. If they don't like it, that's tough. It's the name of the business world. When you run ads also, the most important word is consistency. Except for one kind of ad, which I'll get into in a little while. Name recognition creates feelings of security and belief within the general population. If they see you in, they may not call you the first time, the second time, the third time, the 15th time. But they're going to call you eventually. So if you say to yourself, I'm going to buy a display ad in the Fort Lauderdale News about an inch high and an inch wide and 2 inches deep, and I'm going to run it on Wednesday, and this ad is going to cost me $300, and you run it, and you don't get any response, are you going to run it the next week, and the week after, and the week after, and the week after? Of course not. You should, but you won't. So unless you're prepared to have consistency in that display type of an advertisement, don't run it. There's other ways to spend that money more lucrative. That's lucrative if you can afford, you have that little nest egg of $2,000 or $3,000 to get that running that's focused just on that ad. If you don't do it. Put one ad in and think you're going to go, whoop, everybody's going to knock on my door, is not happening. It won't work. Now, there is one kind of a newspaper ad that brings tremendous results. It takes a lot of guts to do it. A lot of guts. What are we selling? Are we selling something? And that's what we are, aren't we? When we advertise, we're salespeople. We're selling one thing to get people to call our phone. So, what are we really selling? We're selling something that needs explanation. We're not selling tires. We're not selling TVs. People know what these things are. We're selling hypnotism, and the public is absolutely ignorant of it, other than it's used for smoking and weight loss. Even those people who run those display ads, stop smoking in 22 minutes, are not getting the people who are frightened to death of hypnosis, don't understand how it works, and that's the majority. So, the one ad that really draws is called an editorial ad, a big editorial ad. Whenever things get slow, I dust off my big editorial ad. There it is. Now we say an editorial ad because it looks like an editorial. It looks like the newspaper wrote about it. There's no display. There's no pictures here. There's no big splashy thing. Other than, have you ever thought about hypnosis? What it was? How does it work? Is it for you? And then it starts off, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, just like a regular editorial does. And boom, ba-doom, ba-doom. And this basically eliminates the fears, the misconceptions, talks about so many different things. Really gives a great education about hypnotism. Of course, at the end it says, also, give me, call us and we'll do it for you, you see. Now, this ad, when I first wrote this ad, and this ad now is probably the better part of 7 or 8 years old. Still as valid now as it was back then. Back then, one day, in the Fort Lauderdale News, this ad probably cost $800. Today, if I called up and put this ad in, it would probably cost me, for one day, close to $2,000. Would I hesitate to put this in? Not in the least. Remember, circulation increases. The more circulation, the more people charge for their advertising. 8 years ago, the circulation of the Fort Lauderdale News was substantially less than it is today. But there's a way to, let's say this thing costs $2,000 to put in for one day today. There's a way to get it in for $1,000 for one day. 50% off. How do you do that? Well, I'm glad you asked, Bart. Here's how you do it. You get your ad. You have the man come out from the Fort Lauderdale News, or you write it up, they'll typeset it. You don't have to worry about that at all. For an ad this side, they'll give you proof also that you can make sure everything's done correctly. Then you tell them, I want to place this on standby. What does that mean? It simply means that you don't have the slightest idea when this is going to go in the newspaper. See, when you pay full price, you can say, I want it to go in on Wednesday. You can even ask for a certain location. Most of the time they'll give it to you, although I have been terribly burned in that area. There is one place where this ad will die. Ladies and gentlemen, that is in the sports section. There is one place that this ad will make you mega bucks. Ann Landers section, where the crossword puzzle is and all that stuff. Now, when you pay for it, you can get usually close to where you asked them to be. They're never going to guarantee placement. When you ask them to put it on standby, that means when they need a place to fill in, they will use your ad if it happens to fit in that spot that the layout man needs to fill in. More often than not, that's in the Sunday paper. It's the biggest paper of the week. More people read the Sunday paper than anything else. It is. Plus, if you wanted to put it in regular in the Sunday paper, it cost you probably double. Instead of $2,000, it would cost you $4,000. So usually it goes in the Sunday paper. So there you are, generally sitting in the Sunday paper for $1,000. It's a great steal. Now, that means that my price structure, if I got this in for $1,000, to break even, simple math, I have to have 10 people call up, don't I? Now here's the way you better think about advertising. If you generate enough business out of that newspaper ad to pay for the ad, it is an unqualified, successful advertisement worth its weight in gold. Period. If you think any of these advertisements are going to have people lining up on your door to come tumbling in, you're insane. It's not going to happen. If the ad pays for itself, it's a winner. Because remember, if, and this one has always brought in more than that, but let's just say it brought in 10 people. Out of each 10 people, out of each person you work with, statistically, if you do a good job, you'll get 3 or 4 referrals. So if you get 10 people, you're getting 30 or 40 sessions out of it. Now, each one of those people you do good with is also going to refer you to 3 or 4 more people, and you get the pyramid going of increased business. It's a great ad, takes guts to run, and I'll give you a copy of it and go for it when we get done here. Okay. Another kind of an ad is a specialty ad. I trained a fella, he worked here for a while, a couple of years back. Now, when we were talking about past life regressions, and again, that's a selective audience you're going to of metaphysically oriented people. And that's what he wanted to do. He said, I have to make some pretty good bucks. And he made up a flyer. The secret, now it's all big business because of Brian Weiss and everything, but back then, and he made up a wonderful flyer. It was in color, all about past life regressions. He called himself a master regression hypnotist. I like that. I thought that was pretty impressive. He did tremendous with this. He put it in all the metaphysical bookstores. Somehow he stumbled across a woman who worked, who was a very good-looking guy, and you got to get creative. I guess he dated the girl that owned the metaphysical bookstore, and she mailed it out to all of the people she had on her mailing list. Was about 5,000 of them. This guy made a barrel of money off of this. Big bucks. Get creative. I'll give you a copy. I'm sure David doesn't mind if I give you one of those. Okay. Newspaper ads, though, are probably, in the long run, unless you have the bucks, not where you should be. Some people make the mistake of saying, ha, 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 I can advertise in the newspaper cheap. I put my ad in the classified advertisement section. And you'll see them in there. You'll see some mental health workers under some counseling section in there. Forget it. What kind of people read those ads? People who are broke looking for bargains. Would you look for a doctor in the classified ads? No. And people with money to spend won't either. Stay out of them. They're not going to do you any good. When we talk to a business, just to get back to business cards for a second, because they're the most important thing you got to have. Thousands and thousands of them. Every single person you meet should instantly have 3 business cards handed to him. I only need 1. Take 3. I don't care what he does with the other 2. Maybe he'll drop them in a place somebody else will pick them up. Everybody you meet does not get 1 card, he gets 3 cards. It'll pay dividends, I'll guarantee you. Might take a little time, But your name will get, let's face it, what this business is, getting your name out there in front of everybody better than anybody else is out there in front of everybody. And to do it rapidly. Because you've got to start making money. And business cards are the way to do it. Another way you can do, you've got to promote. There's so many ways to promote. The biggest thing that keeps you from being successful is your lack of self-motivation. Many of us are like that fellow who just puts an ad in a newspaper or an ad in the Yellow Pages and sits back and waits for the phone to ring. It will not ring. So, how do you really get your business turned on? Now, what I'm going to tell you works every time. You just have to do it. How many of you are willing to do some work to be successful in your business? Okay. How many of you are willing to sweat a little bit to get successful in your business? Ladies, you don't sweat, you missed. That's what my daughter says. Here's how you do it. And if you do this, I guarantee you within 30 days, your business will be in the black. Really in the black. First of all, and this might be a little duplication for some of my students. Some classes I say this to, or talk about, other classes I don't. First of all, you get a brochure. It doesn't have to be fancy, but it's got to say certain things. Number one, who you are. You can use your own name. Bart Ostroff Hypnosis Center. We have Omni Hypnosis Center. Doesn't matter. Some kind of a brochure that tells the people what you do. It doesn't have to be a printed one with all this typesetting. It can be a nicely done professional flyer. I don't care. You've got to have something, and you've got to have your business card stuck in it, attached to it. How many business cards? 3. Now you get a box of these, and you start off, you get 5,000. Again, this is your most important throwaway. Because even more important than a business card, because it's got the business card. 3 of them. So now what do? You've got to analyze yourself. You must say to yourself certain things. Number one, how many hours a week am I willing to work to make my business successful? Now don't go crazy. Don't say you're going to do 80 hours a week or 70 hours a week. Let's be reasonable. Let's say you're going to do 40-hour week. That's enough. 50 hours, 45 maybe, tops. All right, here is the rule. You open your business, you open your practice. You work there for a week. Now you look back over it and you say, how much of those 40 hours were involved in the therapy office doing therapy with a warm body about 98.6 and breathing? Your answer will be 0 to 1 or 2. You know, you've got your wife or husband to drag somebody in kicking and screaming. All right, so let's say you did 4 hours of therapy. You've committed to 40 hours of work, haven't you? Last week you worked 4 hours. That means 36 hours of your commitment should be used for promotion. Period. Nothing else. If you're not in session, you're promoting. What is the best, most lucrative way in the world to promote your business? Here's what you do. You go down to the local shoe store and get yourself a comfortable pair of shoes that don't look terrible with what you'd wear that would look good in your office. Then you say to yourself, I'm getting a detailed map of my area. And you say, okay, I'm taking this street, I'm walking up this side, I'm crossing over, I'm walking down this side. You walk into every single business. And you hand them that brochure. Again, you're not there to sell anything. You put it in their hand. Thank you. If I can ever be of any help, give me a call. You go up one side of the road, down the other side of the road. If you get tired, take a break. Not a long break. Then you pick another road. Same thing. Up and down. Every single business. The biggest mistake you'd make is you go walking past the place and you'll say, oh, they wouldn't want one. That's probably the business that'll give you more business than any other one. This business is a game of numbers, period. You say, I'll mail them. I'll just get a list of businesses and mail them. Forget about it. You're not going to get the response. Some people will say, hey, you're a hypnotist? Come on over here. Let me talk to you a minute. Or if, most businesses have ladies as receptionists. And ladies are much more interested in hypnosis than men are. They'll ask you questions. Hey, can you help me with my weight problem? Not only that, when you put it in the receptionist's hand, if she isn't interested, hypnosis is a trigger word. It will be handed all over that business. It'll be put up on bulletin boards. They'll see your face. You shook their hand. They'll know who you are. That's what you do for 30 days. You've got to commit to 30 days. You can't sit at home and watch Phil Donahue saying maybe the phone will ring, I got phone forwarding. If you commit to this, either you're in session or you're hawking your brochures and business cards, you will be profitable, in the black, comfortable in 30 days with a good business. If you don't, maybe you can find another way to do it. I'm going to tell you some other ways. But this is the surefire way. Every time. Don't tell me, yeah, I got business cards, I'm doing great, I still got a whole bunch of them left over, Jerry. I got, throw them away. Get them out there. Throw your brochures every place. Wherever you go, brochures, business cards, stapled into them. I don't care where you go. Sometimes I only can bring business cards because I don't have a place to stash my brochures. So then business cards, I hand them out. Brochures. You're having a drink at cocktail hour? All you have to do is say, get somebody to ask you what you do for a living, and that's easy to do. A hypnotist, you're the center of attention, start handing out your brochures. Some people say, I just don't seem to generate any business. They must be locked in a closet at home. We're in a people business. We can't be afraid of being around people. You've got to make the moves. Go in a mall. A mall's air conditioned. Say, I'm going to 6 malls today. There's enough of them in this area. Go into each business in the mall and hand it to them if you don't like the hot weather. What I used to do in malls, they have all the benches, all the seats around. I'd walk from benches all up and down the mall. And when I got up, I laid an egg. There was all sorts of brochures where I was sitting under me. People are going to pick them up. All through the mall I did that. I got a call one day from the Broward Mall. Guy calls me up. He says, are you the fellow that's putting the brochures in my mall? I said, yes. I'm really expecting to get chewed out here. His next statement was, does it really work for smoking? You see how your mind has got to start to work here. You've got to start to think differently. Now, all these things I'm telling you doesn't cost you a lot of money. A nice-looking flyer. Don't put something out there that looks cheap. It can be cheap, but it can be simple. So you don't have to go for a lot of money, but you got to have your flyer or your brochure and your business cards. That's the nucleus. And then you've got to be willing to get the legs a-moving and start walking. Walking has made more people more money in more ways over the years than any other profession. If you don't believe me, just look what walks up and down the streets a lot. That's the oldest profession. Okay. Okay. You never go anyplace. You never, ever, ever, ever go anyplace without your brochure. If you're going to visit your grandmother, you bring your brochures. It's more important that you forget your wallet, your driver's license, and your money than forgetting your brochures. Everybody gets one, or a business card, if you don't have a place to carry brochures. You think I'm kidding? This works. Great. Whenever I go, I'm just thinking again, I didn't write this one down. I remember one time I had to stop and make a phone call at a 7-Eleven. You know how they have the external phones outside? I put a brochure in each one. I got 2 clients off of that. Wherever you go, lay a brochure down. You will draw from your office, realistically, about a 20 to 25 mile radius. That will be your realistic draw. People, if you have a reputation, if you market, if your clients are doing referrals, will drive past 70 other hypnotists to get to you. Now, all of us that have been in business long enough and do the work that we do know that, yeah, I have people fly down from New Jersey. I have people fly in from New York just to see me. But that's not the bulk of my business. Generally, a 25-mile circle. So what does that tell you? If you say, I have a 25-mile circle, you should not put your office on an oceanfront strip center, should you? There ain't nobody out that way but fish. Get it inland so you have the access of more extension into that area. I had a great deal when we moved into this office to be located on the intercoastal. Beautiful office spaces, wonderful, very reasonable. But I said, I'm not going to go there. I'm not having enough extension to the east. I want to be surrounded by the action, you see. You'll draw from about 25 miles around you. And as your reputation grows, you'll draw from further areas. I have people call me up as I'm trying to get more and more out of the individual sessions from Boca Raton or Palm Beach, and I'll recommend one of my students. They said, I don't want to go to them. I want to go to you. You were recommended to me by somebody I trust, therefore I trust you. That's the way it works. You can't get rid of it. It's called loyalty. Let's talk quickly about direct mail. When you do direct mail, you will get a 1% return, providing your advertising, the mail out, is not toxic or poisonous in nature to the people who are reading it. You say, my God, for every 1,000 pieces of paper I mail out, I get 1 client? That's right. So you have to do a lot of mailing with direct mail. If you ever get 2%, you immediately do this. You notice what you did, you get that mailing list, then you get down on your knees, you place your hands in this position, you look up and say, thank you, because it's a major gift. If you're going to do direct mail, you don't do it to the private home. If you want a chance of a return, the best places to do your direct mail is to businesses. You will get a much larger response in businesses because an interesting flyer on hypnotism will be handed around. It may start off as a joke. Somebody in a mailroom gets it, and it looks like garbage mail, and he's got certain liberties in what he can just throw away, and he gets this thing, he opens it up, hypnosis, lose weight now. He may say, let me take this upstairs. Takes it upstairs, and he goes, here, Gloria, this is for you. And Gloria is all upset and huffy and puffy, but then she starts reading it, and it sounds very interesting. Maybe she hands it to her girlfriend, another girlfriend that's heavy. All of a sudden, the phone rings. Do you do groups? Do I do groups? Yeah. When we talk about referrals, there are some organizations who say they only take referrals from doctors, or they need a doctor referral for whatever they do. That means that the only referrals they really take is a doctor's referral. And they won't do any other business because they think hypnosis there's nothing they can do legitimately in hypnosis without a doctor referring it. So all they accept are doctor referrals. Let me tell you one thing. I accept doctor referrals. I also accept referrals from the gas station attendant. I also accept referrals from the lady at the checkout counter at Publix. I accept referrals from every single person. If they need a doctor, I'll send them to a doctor and get that referral. You see what I mean? So, when you think about referrals, you get them from everybody. Radio advertising. Again, it is a media that needs repetition. You're on there for 30 seconds. Nobody's going to even know who you are. Or a minute. What was that? Where did it go? Nobody wrote down anything. You have got to be on constantly. Also, you should be on, if you're going to do radio, you should be on a talk show with a name host who has a large following. Because then if you buy a minute, after this guy knows he's got you iced, he's got you, he's going to do ad-libbing for you. Your minute will grow into a minute and a half or 2 minutes. There's a loyalty with these radio hosts that people believe them. That if they're on the radio, they got to tell the truth, and they create a rapport, and you'll do very well. It's going to cost you thousands of dollars to get to that point. But that's how you do it. If you think you're going to go on radio and say, I'll take a week of radio, 30-second or 1-minute spots, and I'm on my way down the golden path, forget it. Save your money. If you call up radio and ask them, they will send their people out, and each station will give you glorious details as to why their station is the one to advertise on. If you have a lot of money, then you go for the name host, just like I explained to you. Television's even tougher. Television is major bucks, and it still falls back to consistency. There's a hypnotist in Miami doing TV. He did radio for years. He's doing great. But he started into this by selling a business that he had in New York for mega bucks, and for him to put this money into radio and television was nothing. So he had the ability to be consistent. You and I don't have that. Bart does, but the rest of us, we don't have that ability, you see. Another one that is expensive, but I personally think it would be great. I've never done it. A friend of mine did it out in Seattle, and it did wonders for him, which was a billboard. Well, these big billboards on the side of the road, lit up 24 hours a day, where thousands and thousands of cars were going by. Now, billboard, you have to keep your advertisement down to 7 words or less. Doesn't have to say much. And I forget what his said, but it was fantastic. He got a tremendous return on his investment. But you can go for billboards in this area. The last time I called up on them for a decent, and again, we're talking location. You can go, I got a billboard for $300 a month. Where is it? Well, it's on this dirt road west of Davie. For those of you on the tape, Davie's a cow town out in the Everglades. On the other hand, if you want a billboard where there's a tremendous traffic going by, it's like $2,000 a month with a contract for a year. So, unless you're willing to commit to that, don't do it. You may get to the point where you'll see that it's a good way to go. But don't do that in the beginning. Yellow page, everybody should be in the yellow pages. You have got to be in the yellow pages. Does anybody know why the yellow pages are yellow? Because they're the color of gold. You've got to be in the yellow pages. Doesn't even matter what kind of an ad you put in there. You've got to be in there. People will call up all the time. We get people calling up here. They just go down and call everybody in the yellow pages. There's not that many of us. They'll shop price, and as long as you've got the phone to ring, you've got the better opportunity to get them than anybody else because you're a live voice on the phone. Do an interesting test. Call all the people in the yellow pages that are advertising in hypnosis. Find out how many live voices answer the phone. You'll be amazed. You'll be one of the 2. And people want to talk to a live voice. I was going to get into this later, but I'm going to get into it now because what you have to do when you're in the yellow pages or when you're in business is something or somebody has to answer your phone. Without a doubt, the best is a human voice. that is working in the business. We're very fortunate here that we have a live person to answer the phone all the time that's very knowledgeable about hypnosis. If you don't have that capability, some people say they get an answering service. Now, my philosophy on answering service is simply this. When you shop them out, they are terrific. And if you sign up with one, they answer like you're part of them for a week or two. And then it gets to, like, just last week I had to call several people up that had answering service. Yeah. I'd like to leave a message. Is this the service? Yeah. This is no way to represent your business. They'll start off like gold and then drift down after you're in there for a while. If you ever have an answering service, call them as a customer one time. Make believe you're a customer and see how they handle it. They don't even know how to spell hypnosis. They can't give your people who call up the slightest bit of information. And people need a little bit of information. How much does it cost? If nothing else. Mr. Ostroff will have to get back to you. Can't you tell me how much it costs? No, I'm sorry, he'll have to get back to you. Can you tell me the location? No, I'm sorry, he'll have to get back to you. So I don't do answering services. The next thing is an answering machine. Here's where most people make tremendous mistakes. Most people say, okay, I'll have an answering machine. Where do they go to buy it? Kmart? Acme Electronics? Or midnight answering machine sales? Swap meet? They'll go for the cheapest piece of garbage in town. And that's exactly what it sounds like. People call up. They get an answering machine. Thank you for calling your scratching beat. That's not the other thing. The second thing they do is they have one of these cheap answering machines that cuts them off after 30 seconds. After the tone, leave your beep. Hi, I was just wondering if you could call me back. I'm kind of interested in your smoke. Beep. Insane. How can people do this? I've got 3 answering machines for 3 different lines. They all cost me over $300 a piece. They are industrial strength answering machines from Codafone. These things have a clarity of voice. My message simply says, at the tone, leave any length message you'd like. That automatically puts a person at ease, doesn't it? They don't say, God, I got to get this out. I'm going to be cut off. Leave any length message you'd like. We'll call you back just as soon as we can. The voice is rich, it's clear, and they're put at ease. Plus, the gear drive in there, or whatever the guts are commercial. They're not going to wear out. A home answering machine will wear out very quickly. It's not meant to take the load that you're going to have. You see. Waste money on an answering machine, and you're going to lose a ton of business. Now, when you answer the phone, if somebody doesn't book an appointment, you go through your stick, and they say, thank you, I'll let you know. Before they get off, this is critically important, say, how would you like, or would you like me to send a brochure to you? Oh, that would be very nice. 8 out of 10 people will say, yes, that would be very nice. The other 2 you'll miss. So what do? You get their name and address, you put your brochure in an envelope, and you mail them a brochure. They're on the fence. They're not sure whether they want to do this or not. Everybody else is going to be pressuring. Come on, get in here, get in here. Hot deal today, 25% off, you say. You mail them the brochure. A couple of days later, it comes in the mail. It explains hypnotism, shows you're a legitimate operation. So many of us, not of us, but so many of the general population thinks we're quacks and don't know what we're doing. You mail them a brochure. It's in their hand. So many people have these refrigerator magnets. They'll stick it up on the refrigerator. And you will get the majority of those people to book with you. You must mail the people who don't book with you a brochure. It's worth tremendous gold to you to do that. Okay. Now, where is your greatest source of referrals? Your clients. When do you start working your clients for the referrals? When they're in the office for their session. Now, here's a great thing you do. Let's say you're working with a smoker because this works so beautiful. You go down to your printer. You get a plastic card, kind of like a credit card. On one side of it, you write on it, "I stopped smoking on." And then there's a black line where you'll write in an indelible pencil, July 21st, 1988, and under it'll say, "At the Omni Hypnosis Center." You also turn it over, and printed on there is Omni Hypnosis Center, your address and phone number. Now you tell the person in hypnosis, "I'm going to give you a wonderful little card, about the size of a credit card, because you've done so beautiful today, and you'll be a non-smoker for the rest of your life. You will carry this card for the next 6 months where you normally would have carried your cigarettes." Now what's going to happen? And every day you put that in your pocket or wherever you carry it, you will feel prouder and more excited about the wonderful thing you've done for you and your loved ones. Now they're going to put that in their pocket. And what's going to happen? Every day they're going to pull it out and look at it and be so proud, and they're going to show their friends. And guess what? There's your name and number in front of everybody all day long. You say, "Boy, they're expensive to have those printed up." Wow, I probably could go for $75 to have that done. I can't do that. That's the greatest thing in town. I'll tell you something else. Any of you have computers? Okay, if you have a computer, you can do this, or you can have your printer make them up. When a person comes to me to stop smoking, of course, you can do the same thing with weight loss on those cards. "I started losing weight on July 1989 at the Omni Hypnosis Center." Boom. Or "with the help of," you say. Boom, boom. Now, with my smokers, I also never let anybody get out without giving them their award. And I have several that I choose from. I make these up on my printer. Certificate of Achievement. This is to certify Henry LaRue who became a non-smoker on this date. GFK, Joel of Kind, Omni Hypnosis Center, July 25th. They get it. An award. People frame these things, put them behind their desk at work. They're excited about this. That's one style. Here's another style. It's a little more exotic in the typesetting and that kind of stuff. Again, the same words, a little bit different. Or if I really want to get big, I'll get a big certificate out of my computer like this. Certificate of Stop Smoking, or whatever. This is certified Henry LaRue. That's my father-in-law. I just made these up for you guys. On this date, became a non-smoker through the assistance of the Omni Hypnosis Center. Date, my name, put a seal on there. They take this and they show it to everybody. They are so proud. Or I go into my certificate maker program and give them an award for quitting smoking. It's kind of comical thing. It's all built in with the smoking here, and a guy trying to cop a cigarette under there, and they're bringing them the award. And it's a marvelous technique. They walk out with this, and what does this cost me? 2-3 cents? Tops. Nothing to it. Cheapest thing in the world. And you hand one of these to each one of your smokers or weight loss people, they're so excited. They never thought they'd get something like this. And you don't think that's motivation to continue to accept the suggestions you gave them as they show this all over their office? All these marvelous certificates? Actually, people like these size, for some reason, the best. They're a little smaller. They buy the little frames from them that fits. The crazier the person you deal with, I don't mean that psychologically, I mean it comically, the bigger they want their certificate. So what happens is I'll go in and do my pre-talk, I'll run out and tell Cheryl, "Give me a big one." And she'll knock off a big one for me, you see. But generally we use the smaller size ones. And they love it. They absolutely love it. after 2 or 3 months, let me make sure I'm not getting out of... After 2 or 3 months, you mail them a card. Just a card. You go buy them at the post office. Again, you can just type on it, or if you have a computer, you can do it on your computer. And you just say, hope you're doing well as a non-smoker. We're thinking of you. Jerry Kine, Omni Hypnosis Center, phone number. If I can help you in any way, give us a call. Mail it to them. It'll pay you big dividends. Now, let's get back into your client history form. I want to review a couple of things that are very important for you. Every client should fill out your client history form. I'm not going to go over it in detail because they're as varied as your individual businesses are. But it must have certain things on here, and that is the age of the person. Women will not always be totally truthful on the age. What I meant to say is they're not totally truthful on the year. They'll always be truthful on the day and the month, and that's all you care about. And what you do at the end of every month, and again it helps if you have a computer for this, or you can do it by a tickler file, a card catalog if you don't have a computer. You pull all the people you've ever worked with who have a birthday next month, and you send them a birthday card. And they're excited about you thinking about them, and they're going to start talking about you. Second thing on here, how did you hear about us? We want to know how they heard about you. From a newspaper ad, a yellow page ad, and then the biggie, a referral. If they mark referral, then next to it the name of the referral. Why do you want the name of the person that referred them? You're going to send them a letter or a card saying, thanks a lot. I really appreciate your confidence in us, and we're going to do an extra special job for your client. You've just got a salesman that's going to work like the bejesus for you, who's totally ignored in his life like most of us are, and here you've given him recognition. He's going to go work for you. All right, those are the most important things that you want on your client history form. You also want to have their doctor's name and address on there if you're doing referral work, so you can write the doctor. We're going to show you in a little while how you can get referrals from doctors and you don't even know who the doctors are. I'm going to show you in a few minutes how you can get referrals from doctors who never gave you referrals, who don't even know you. That's easy to do. We'll move on. We'll get to that. Okay. If somebody they book an appointment and they don't show up, they're a no-show. You have certain choices. You can call them up and, you rotten SOB, how can you do that? It's $100 an hour and I'm a fetch. Or you can ignore it and go, oh, geez, they didn't show up. Or you do the right thing. The business thing, the promotional thing. You send them a card. Sorry we missed you on your appointment of October 12th at 7 p.m. We know something must have come up important. Call us to reschedule when it's convenient for you. A lot of people legitimately forget. Other people get scared. And other people realize they forgot the appointment and they're not going to call you because they're embarrassed you're going to yell at them. Now they got that card, it calms them down, they'll call you back. And you'll get that appointment. What do you do if they don't make the second appointment? You don't do anything. But when they call you for the third appointment, you must do this. Yes, we will be happy to schedule another appointment for you as soon as we have your payment in advance. You must get payments in advance. Your time is worth money. You can't let these people abuse you. Some people will. Now, when they pay you in advance, they'll show up for their appointment. If they don't, You just made the easiest 100 of your day, didn't you? You can relax and do all those wonderful things during that hour or so that you normally would have had to work. When you mail a card to those people, it says, "Sorry we missed you. Would you like to call us when you're ready to reschedule your appointment?" You send a brochure with it. That's mandatory. They might have got scared. They might start listening to their friends saying hypnosis is crazy. And your brochure is going to give them a little bit of information to show that you're professional, you're not somebody with a crystal ball and a Swami hat, and that you're legit. And then they'll say, "Oh, okay, my friends are wrong. This is the way it really is." Send the brochure along with that card. It'll pay tremendous dividends. What's attached to the brochure? How many? 3 business cards. 3 is the magic number. All right. A lot of people say, "I'm going to write a letter to doctors, and I'm going to send them my brochure. And I'll say, 'Hello, doctor, my name is Jerry Kine. I'm in the area. I'm the greatest hypnotist on planet Earth. I do so wonderful. And should the need arise, I'll be thrilled,'" yeah, I guess you would, "to work with your patients if you think there's necessary." "Doctor, you're right. In the trash can. It's not going to fly." Here's how you get doctor referrals from doctors who never would give referrals. It's easy. Let's take smoking again, because that's one of the more common things. When you're working with your smoking client, say, see if you can solicit from him his physician's name. And ask him if it's all right that after he's successful for a month or two, that he could write his doctor a letter and advise him that you're no longer a smoker. That'll make his doctor thrilled. Would that be all right? Person say, "Yeah, my doctor is Dr. Zhivago. He's a very famous doctor in town," you say. Now, what you do is you wait about 20 days after your session. You get a hold of this guy and you say, "How you doing? You still off of those cigarettes?" "Oh, yeah, it was wonderful. It was great." "Well, keep up the good work. If we can help you, give us a call." Now you get out your trusty typewriter. You got the doctor. "Dear Dr. Zhivago, thank you for referring your patient, Bart Ostroff, to stop smoking. We worked with Bart. He was a wonderful hypnosis subject, and we're proud to let you know that he has been a non-smoker for the last 21 days, and we sure expect him to continue in this vein. We certainly do appreciate your referral. If we can be of any further assistance, don't hesitate to call on us. I have enclosed for your information several of our brochures. Best regards." You send him that letter. The guy gets it. Who the heck is this guy? Well, I must have referred. The guy was successful. I think that, why don't you put these brochures out in the lobby, nurse? I think that this fellow might be pretty good. Now, if he doesn't start referring, I guarantee if you're in business long enough, you're going to get another patient of his for smoking. You do the same thing. Send him another letter. "Thank you again for your referral." And pretty soon he's going to start saying, "I must refer. This is okay. I'm going to refer to this guy. He's quite a fella or gal." And they'll start sending you referrals. What's even better, doctors talk to each other. Trust me, I know. I just left a facility that was loaded with doctors. I know how they meet. I know how they talk. I know what they say. And they will talk you up if you're successful in giving them the credit for it. "Thank you for your sending me." And they'll say, "Hey, you're having trouble with smoking? I am too. Nicorette doesn't work. We all know that. Send them to Jerry Kine. The guy does terrific." Doctors love to get rid of people who they can't help. That's called dumping. And they always would prefer to dump on somebody who would be absolutely successful, because then they look like heroes. Why not look like a hero? Maybe Nicorette isn't a thing, but I'm going to tell you something. There's a hypnotist in town that's going to get the job done for you. Well, if a doctor says it must be true, so they're working with waking hypnotic suggestion. When those people walk in your office, they have within them the knowledge they're going to be successful. 90% of your work is done. you're a non-smoker, and they are. Great way to do this stuff. How do you get referrals from doctors generally? Well, that's also easy, and my students have taken a class know how simple that is. When somebody comes to you for a problem that requires a medical referral or a psychological referral, you hand them a referral form that simply says, "Dear doctor." First of all, you tell a person they need a doctor referral. You get their doctor's name and address. And there's a standard referral form, just a letter that says, "Dear doctor, your patient so-and-so would like to use hypnosis for," you fill in the blank, whatever it is, impotence. "And because it's a medical problem, we need your authorization. Please sign below that it's okay by you to use hypnosis." And you leave a little space. Here's a little space for notes. Now, just a second. What you do with this letter is, when you tell people you need a referral, you can mail it to the doctor and say, "When it comes back, we'll call you and set the appointment." They're in a hurry. They'll say, "No. How about I pick it up and I bring it to the doctor?" Fine. Come on over. They come over and pick it up. Now, here's what you must be careful about. Because if you need a referral and they come back in 20 minutes or a half hour, what they did is went down to the corner, had a donut and a cup of coffee, and signed it and brought it back. So when you hand somebody a referral, remember, your neck is on the line. To say, "Fine, you can carry it to the physician if you want to, but because we've had some problems in the past, I have to let you know that when it comes back, we will call a physician to verify that he signed it." And we do. So that way you're okay. And I've had very, very few physicians who said they wouldn't sign a referral. I've had an occasional physician call me up and ask me who I was and what did I do. And then they signed it. So you can get referrals very easily. There's no problem in getting referrals at all. Simple, simple stuff. This one is a trip. You're going to like this. Guarantee, yeah.
Is it mandatory to have medical referrals for working with weight loss clients?
Okay, it depends on who you talk to. In the courts in the state of Florida, is it mandatory to have medical referrals for weight loss? Recently, the state of Florida brought two hypnotists up on charges of practicing violation of the Florida hypnosis law by not having referrals for smoking and weight loss. They were beaten in the court. The state says that smoking and weight loss was not the treatment of human illness, injury, or disease. Therefore, it was not a medical problem. Therefore, you do not need a referral for it. There are hypnotists and trainers who will say, "You've got to have referrals for it." I'm telling you, in this area right now, you do not. Alcoholism is a medical problem in this area. You do need a referral. And it's not that difficult to get referrals. Again, alcoholism is a problem a lot of people are just not able to help somebody with, so they're happy to send them to you. Okay, you're going to like this. Let's say you want to get into corporations and do work with corporations. I don't care, you want to hold stress control seminars, you want to do stop smoking for the large corporations or medium corporations. To get even in it, you've got to talk to the president. You've got to get to the top dog. So what do? You write a marvelous letter. Dear, and you find out his name, you call up, who's the president, blah, 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 you have the name. "Dear Joe Blow." And you write about how smoking is dangerous and how hypnosis can help and all the wonderful things about you and the success of it, and you'd like to set an appointment up and all this. And the letter goes to the company, and where's it go? It doesn't get to the president. He doesn't read this stuff. Does anybody know how you get a letter to the president of a company besides that? Return receipt requested. The girl will sign it, and the mail clerk will sign it. You've got to get it to the president. Here's what you do. Now, this is especially true for sales organizations. For example, car dealers, electronic sales, heavy-duty sales type organizations. You go out to the local card store, and if they don't have them, you order them. Pink envelopes. You stuff whatever you want to put in that pink envelope, you lick it and close it. Then you give it to a girl with a very feminine hand, and she addresses it to the president. You do one more thing. Hit it with a shot of perfume. Ladies and gentlemen, no one will dare open that letter. Again, put personal confidential on the bottom of it. Sure, if you want to. If you think for a minute a mail clerk or a secretary or anybody else is going to open that letter, forget it. They'll feel that if they open that letter, their heart will be cut out. They'll be out on the street because this guy's married. And wives don't send perfumed pink letters. It's going to his desk. He's going to be excited. Now, if he was a salesperson, if he struggled in sales, he is going to say to himself, what a set of goulions this guy has, or gal has. This I respect. Creativity. This is exciting. Hey, if this person got this letter to me, they probably can do the job for me. And they're going to call you up and say, I gotta meet you. Get out here. It works great. It works fantastic with car dealers. And once you get into car dealers, then what does a car dealer want? He doesn't care about stress. He works those people into the dirt. All he cares about is improved sales. So what are you going to present to him? Sales improvement. Corporate seminars. And he'll buy it because you're the guy who could do what nobody else done. Got through all the blocks to get to him. Isn't that a neat technique? I'm not telling you to do this, but you see what I mean? When we started out, I said you got to be creative. You just can't open a business, put an ad in a newspaper. Forget it. We've talked about a lot of things so far, and the biggest one of all is walking your brochures. Trust me. And that's a 30-day commitment. Yeah, I wrote down here because it's so important. The more, in quote, normal you advertise your business, the less business you will do. You phrase it. The more normal you are in your promotion, the less business you will do. You will be normalized out of business. If you listen to newspaper salesmen, if you listen to radio salesmen, if you put flyers on windows, if you advertise in Penny Saver, there's another biggie. I mean, you read that if you want to buy lawn furniture. Get creative. I mean, I can give you some wild stuff to do here. Write letters to fraternal organizations. Fraternal organizations are always looking every month to have a speaker. You're getting that person off the hook by filling his need. Hi, hypnosis is a fantastically interesting subject. We'd be proud to come on out and give a lecture included with a demonstration. And we'll show you how we can hypnotize one of your volunteers from your organization in a matter of a second or two, standing up, or whatever you do. And it's a fascinating thing, and they'll suck you up like crazy. Now, once you get lectures and demonstrations, you better know how to turn them into money-making situations. 99% of people who give lectures, demonstrations, don't make enough off of it to pay their gas. Now, I'm not going to go into how to do that, but for every lecture demonstration that you go to, if you got 20 or more people, you should make at least $2,000. If you don't know how to do that, and you don't, I'm not going to hawk how to do that because it's a 2-hour technique to teach you how to do that. I suggest you buy the videotape that teaches you step-by-step how to turn a free lecture demonstration into one that's going to be enormously profitable for you. All right. The second thing, you do the same kind of thing. You write a letter to vocational schools. Most vocational schools. Now, let me take that back. There are some vocational schools, and my daughter went to one or two of them, who really don't do it the way they advertise. Sometimes teachers aren't even around. And they love to have people come in and talk to them. It eats up time. And I've gotten a ton of business on self-hypnosis. For example, talking to the schools that teach court reporting, business schools, because these people reach a speed block. They can't go any faster. And through self-hypnosis, you're able to teach them how to break these blocks, and they just get tremendous. So you go talk at these schools. And again, you've got to turn your lectures into money-making opportunities. You've got to know how to do that, or don't do lectures that are a waste of time. You can't waste time. Okay. A lot of you know each newspaper has a place where you can put a free ad in. You know, what's going on in town today. You can put an ad in there that you're holding a free lecture at a library. Everybody does that because libraries are free or a nominal charge. And they'll give you the room for nothing. So you put an ad in the newspaper, lecture on hypnotism in the library. Don't do it. Who goes to them? Nothing against the elderly, but retired people go to them. It's something to do. Street people go to them. It's a way to get out of the elements. Don't waste your time with libraries. It's not going to work for you. Okay, here's a neat one. Not neat, but it might happen to you someday. It's happened to me occasionally, where somebody was very dissatisfied with what I did, and they stopped payment on the check. What's your next move? How do you turn that from a negative relationship, somebody who's looking at you in a negative light, how do you turn it around and make them one of your great salespeople? Here's how easy it is. You write them a little note. Dear Mrs. Schwartz, notified from the bank today that you stopped payment on the check you gave me for the services. I'm terribly sorry you're so disappointed in my work. I really tried to do the best I could for you. I'm enclosing a check for $5 to cover the cost to you to issue that stop payment. It's my personal belief, if you're not happy, then I should pick up the cost of that stop payment. If I can help you in any way in the future, please give me a call. Now all of a sudden, I'm not somebody that was looking to clean them out because that's what they thought. I paid them for that stop payment. Has anybody ever done that to anybody before? No. All of a sudden you go, hey, maybe it didn't work for me, but what a nice person this person really was. He's honest. He's above board. And they'll talk about you to other people. They say, it didn't work for me, but this guy, if it's going to work, would be the one. Even if all you did was neutralize it, it's better than it being a negative situation. Send them the $5. It'll knock their shorts off. Now let's talk about location for your office. We already mentioned you shouldn't be in a high crime area. There is ideal locations, fair locations, and a lot of this has to do with how long you've been in business. I've been in business a long time. I can basically go to any location and people are going to follow me. I don't have that problem anymore. So you say to yourself, I'd like to be in a medical building with doctors. That's not a terrible location. You may get some referrals off of the doctors if you work them correctly. Generally, you're paying too much rent for what you get, high-priced rent. You can be in a 2-story, 3-story, 4-story office building, in a bank building, or whatever, as long as it's nice. Like this one, a 2-story building. This is a beautiful location. As long as you're willing to go out there and do the footwork. You don't have any visible signs here. We got a little one on the outside, but nobody sees it. You see it when you get close to the building to see if you're in the right building, but it's not going to draw any traffic. Where is the ultimate location of all locations? If you rent this location, your problems are over, providing you do a decent job with your people. A strip center, but a very special one. Whenever I tell people this technique, they go out and they rent a strip center that's maybe one little row of 8 or 10 stores, and they rent a 1,000-foot bay, and they go broke. That's not what I'm talking about. So let me diagram it out for you. Here's what you look for if you want to get rich. It'll take an investment of 10 or 12 grand to get into this. But once you do, you're in. You look for a shopping center shaped something like this. Now, these are all over the place. You know, with a major parking lot out here. Generally, they have a major anchor. Let's say over here it's Winn-Dixie. Now, for those of you maybe in the other part of the country don't know what it is, it's the major foods shopping store, whatever that is in your area. Now, once you have a major food shopping store, what's always next door to it? A drugstore. So you'll see over here a drug. Now, throughout this shopping center, you're going to have a spattering of other kind of things. A lot of times, you will see these other bays fill up with some interesting stuff. Now, for example, in here, you may have a washing place, you know, laundromat. Okay? Now, over here, you may have a beauty parlor, pizza, chiropractor. What else? Radio shack, booze, shoes, whatever it is. But here's the deal. Here's where you want to be, any place, but the closer to Winn-Dixie, the better. Why? How many people are going in and out of here on foot? On foot. You have a big plate glass window or two. This is gold beyond any other gold you could ever imagine. I've known people who have done this for 5 years and retired for the rest of their lives. What you do is you put in your plate glass window, of course a nice sign, hypnotherapy, Acme Hypnosis Center, whatever it may be. Now in your window you get these signs. You know the type, they're like black and you put the white letters in so you can change them all the time. And the way to do this is back room, for example. You can structure it any way you want as far as your therapy rooms, but you have a fairly decent sized back room. And in this back room you have nicey comfortable chairs. About 20 of them. And on that sign you have group hypnosis for smoking. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. 1 a.m. Not 1 a.m., I'm sorry. 1 o'clock in the afternoon till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Group hypnosis sessions for weight loss, same thing on the other days or in the evening. Whatever you want to structure it. Cheap. $35. The women, and again we're dealing with women because they do the shopping. And they're more intelligent than men are in many ways, is trying new and different things. Now as the women walk by between the beauty parlor, remember here's your big sign up here. So you don't want to be in a dingy. You may find a shopping center like this, but it's run down, there's no major anchor. You know, you got a fish and tackle store, you got a beer and wine bar, and that's not what we're talking about. Class operation. Now, as these people come off of their cars, they're looking at your sign. Everybody has to see it. It doesn't matter where they're going. They're not just putting their head down. Well, maybe they are if they're going in a liquor store. But other than that, they're all going to see your sign. And I'm going to tell you, you'll be doing more business than you could possibly ever handle. But it's an expensive operation to start. Because the downstroke to get in, the building, they generally don't do build-outs for you. That means you've got to build your own walls, get your carpeting. But the return on your investment in this is phenomenal. But you have to be very selective as to the location you're picking. You don't go by specifically the price per square foot. You're going for the location. You're going to pay more for this location. Unless it's in a run-down neighborhood. You don't want to be there anyway, even though there's a Winn-Dixie there. You don't want to be there. The rule of thumb for a location is simply this. Ask your wife, or if you're a woman, ask yourself, would you feel safe going there in the early evening or during the daytime by yourself? If the answer is no, that place, no matter how cheap it is too expensive. Because people won't come to you. It must be a safe place for women to go to by themselves. And when they're walking past, thousands of them, and when you walk, you're looking around, and they see your signs, and it's exciting. They're going to walk in, at least to get information. Brochures are laying there, 3 business cards on it, special flyers you've made up for your group sessions. Forget about it. That's all you'd have to do. You could forget about any other kind of advertising. That would be so good. So when we say a strip center, we're talking about an L-shaped or a U-shaped strip center, not one along some highway with 5 or 6 stores. It's a strip center, but it's not what we're talking about. Yeah, this is neat too. Here's another way, cheap way to build up business. The newspaper is a gold mine if you know how to use it. Most people advertise in it, and you shouldn't be doing that. You should be looking for getting money out of them. One of the great ways you can start developing business is you go ahead and you, on Monday, I don't know about your name. Can't do that, John.
Sorry.
On Monday, the Fort Lauderdale News has their business section. Now, what's in the business section? Don't say business. But in there is a place where companies stroke their employees, where they put in notices. They'll have the picture of the guy or the gal. Generally, the banks do this because banks don't spend too much money on people. They give them grandiose titles instead of money. But a lot of corporations will put a picture of an individual in there and say, Doris Johnson today was promoted to Vice President in charge of European operations, whatever that means. Or Bill Jones today was promoted to Sales Manager for the Southeastern Territory, whatever it is. You write a letter to those people. They're easy to get their names and addresses. Call the company. They'll tell them to you. You send them a letter. Congratulations on your promotion. It's great to see your success is flowering, and we at the Omni Hypnosis Center are also creative people and do the best we can. If we can ever help you in any way become more successful, give us a call. Again, congratulations on this marvelous promotion of yours. Cheap enough to do, and it brings results. But even a better one. Even a better one. You go to the wedding announcements or the engagement announcements. Mr. and Mrs. Harvey Gluck announce the engagement of their daughter, Zinfeld, to whatever, and a little bit about them in a June or July or whatever the wedding is planned. All right, you're going to find, the heck with the groom, they're not important. What you want to do is look up, discover the address of the bride, that's easy to do, and send her a letter of congratulations on her upcoming marriage. And we know a lot of people go into their marriage and during this period want to look the very best that they can look. And we at the Omni Hypnosis specialize in a very rapid weight loss program. And you're going to be amazed. I mean, my niece, I think, or I get all confused with that, right now is getting married. She was very heavy, chunky, and she is doing everything she can to trim down for that wedding. And a lot of the girls are going to want to get rid of the excess weight that they're carrying around, and I'm telling you, they're going to come to you. It's simple, 25 cents, and you write a letter to them. And you're going to get, remember we were talking about the direct mail, we were talking about the 1%? Doing this, you'll end up with about an 8%, 9% return. That's great. That's not bad. Everybody, again, we're talking a little expensive money in the right way can bring great returns. When I do business with a client and they leave, every one of my clients gets a button. It's a simple little button. It simply says, hypnosis keeps me smiling with a little smile face. I'll say, here, you've earned this. I'll say, is it okay if I pin it on your shirt? Because some people just don't do it. Some people don't want a hole in their good shirt, you say. Or you hand it to them. And a lot of people wear it. They get excited about it. Hypnosis keeps me smiling. And people will come up and go, what do you mean by that? Oh, I quit smoking. Where? At the Omni Hypnosis Center. And your phone will start ringing. And it works. What does this cost? I think it really costs about 50 cents or something like this. Now, you add up 50 cents and 50 cents and 50 cents, and it can be a lot of money. But the return is tremendous with your little button. Nothing to it. Here, you've got to either be doing hypnosis or promoting your business. If you're not going to do that, you're going to lose. Here's the rule of thumb. When we're talking walking and handing out all the different kind of flyers, or anything that you're doing that's expending your energy, 4 hours of promotion will produce 2 clients a day. For each 4 hours you're hitting the turf, will produce 2 clients. That's statistically. Some days you may walk for 6 hours getting nobody. The next day you may walk for an hour and pick up 12 clients. But that'll be the average. $15,000 in one day. I want to review this with you to make sure you understand how to do it. $15,000 to $20,000 a day without any expense out of your money. It's simple. You go to a motel that has room for 300 people. You tell them who you are, that you've been a hypnotherapist in the area for a long time, and you want to give something back to the people. And you want to hold free smoking seminars. You want them to donate the room. 3 of them on one day. Now, the goodness of the heart, you talk to the sales manager, I'll devote my time, you devote the room. You'll be in the newspaper, and you're going to get a lot of publicity out of this. Hotels will do this. Then you go to the newspaper. Same thing. I want to donate because of the good of the population. 3 seminars, the Sheraton or whatever it is, the Marriott is going to donate the room. We'd like you to donate the advertising. And they'll go along with it, unless a nuclear war breaks out. And you set it up so they advertise it 2 weeks in a row, preferably on a Sunday, for the seminar to be held the next Wednesday. You show up, the place is packed, it's free for each one of those. You give your 3 seminars, and you're out of there. And you just made 15 or 20 grand. Isn't that great? How'd I do that? Because you brought your cassette tapes with you. And you have 3 of them. You have one cassette tape that says, losing weight while I quit smoking. Another one that says stress reduction. And then your standard stop smoking support tape. And you, throughout your program, tell the people they need these to really make this program work. Normally they're $20 a piece. But tonight, for you folks, it's $10 a piece. Statistically at these operations, people buy 4.8 tapes a person. You're only bringing 3. So figure it out. And also you have a sheet of all the other tapes you make up that they can mail in. So there you are. And let's say each person buys 2 tapes. Let's not get carried away. They'll buy all 3. I'm telling you, if you do it right. Let's say you bought 2 tapes. You got 300, you got 900 people you've worked with that day. 900 people times 2. 1,800 times $10. That's 18 grand. Not bad. So you got to know how to work the motel thing. You got to know when to sell these tapes. You give people potty breaks before you do the hypnosis. You give them the opportunity to buy the tapes then. If you're selling tapes after the show, forget it. They won't buy them. You sell them before you do the actual hypnosis practice. Seminar runs about 2-3 hours, whatever you do. Yeah. I believe our next seminar is going to be on how to hold a successful stop smoking seminar in motels. So there we'll take that apart and structure it step by step for you. I see people making tremendous mistakes out there. It's a gold mine if you know how to do it right. It's a tough row to hoe if you don't know how to do it correctly. And we're going to show you how to do it correctly. So there you are. There is a whole bunch of ways to make money with hypnotism. Remember this important thing about owning your own business. There's a marvelous thing about owning your own business. And that is, not like other people, you only realistically, if you want to be successful, only have to work half a day. And the beauty of it is, you get to pick which 12 hours that is. That's what it takes. You want to sit back, you want to wait for it to come to you, it's not going to do it. There's many, many other ways. We could go on for hours talking about different ways to do hypnosis. The important thing is for you to get creative, to use your own mind. If you're on a road that's not a main highway, go to your city council. Get on the agenda to rename the highway or the road you're on Hypnosis Road. It'll never happen. But the reporters will pick it up. It'll be all over the newspaper. Some wacko wants to name it Hypnosis Road. Everybody's going to know who you are and where you are on television and newspapers. It works. Get a T-shirt. Put a T-shirt on there. Put your hypnosis center when you're out knocking around in your jeans. Joe Blow Hypnosis Center. That's all. And it'll get people to ask you. Don't get a weird T-shirt. I saw a guy walking around with a T-shirt that said, "Hypnotists do it deeper." That's not professional. That's not what we do. A nice professional logo, or if it's going to be brought across, just Omni Hypnosis Center. Just your name. And it'll create people talking about you. Let your mind get creative. That's how you make a lot of money in this profession. Tonight, give yourself a suggestion. During that twilight time where you're drifting from consciousness into the sleep state, and you're just kind of floating and groggy, at that time you're in a semi-state of self-hypnosis. Just give yourself this suggestion. My subconscious mind will reveal to me new, creative ways to promote my hypnosis practice, or to promote myself. Don't think about it anymore. Go to sleep. Now, this is very important. You have a notepad and a pencil by your end table, because you're going to get some wild ideas. And the wilder they are, as long as they're not illegal, immoral, or fattening, is what you should be doing. That creates interest and excitement. That's where the fun is. I wish I could get my name on the Goodyear blimp that's flying around. I think it'd be a ball. You see. You know, if you want to do it, put it on a banner going up and down the beach. I'll try anything. There's certain things you don't do. Never put it on a bowling alley scorecard. That's not going to work. And I can't even remember the other things not to do because I've done them all and they're just starting to go blank. You know, bad things fade after a while. But that's not what you want to do. Oh, matchbook covers. Don't do it. It don't work. I have cases of them someplace. It doesn't work. Bus benches, not too good. I don't like bus benches either. Okay. So there's some ways you can do it. There's a lot of different techniques, but the important thing is business cards, brochures, by the thousands, get them out there. Bring them in the laundromats, bring them into bars, put them in bathrooms. Flood the world with your brochures and business cards, and you'll do all the business you can ever care to do. Save money on your business cards? Ha-ha, I bought 1,000 of them. I still got 800 left. Okay. I know you'll all be successful. You're going to be excited about your work because this is a fantastic work that we're able to do. Nobody can do it better than you can. We're in a unique profession where we can help people where other people dare not, where they fear to tread. As time goes by, I'll be adding more and more of these techniques and making them available to you in different ways. But use your own mind. Get creative. Get exciting. Stay out of the rut of what is normally done to advertise and promote. Do the opposite, and you'll be successful. The old rule is, no matter what they say, as long as they spell your name right, it's true. It's true. Okay. Thank you for being here tonight. Use this stuff. It works. Spread the cards and brochures. If you do nothing else, wear out 3 pair of shoes a month, and you'll be a millionaire. God bless you. Maybe we'll see a lot of you next time. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.